This is Mike Franklin, the property tax guy, and today we're going to talk about a case we have in the city of Syracuse, and I'm going to tell you what transpired, and then I'm going to tell you what should have transpired. I initially contacted the assessor, and then I had to foil their comparable sales report or their cost report, inventory report. I'd like to get their land tables. Anyway, I submitted a Freedom of Information Act request, and I got denial letters first from their law department and then from the mayor, actually signed by the mayor of the city of Syracuse. This is just basic data that it's basic public data that is, reports generated from the final tentative roll. So the tentative roll is the last opportunity that the assessor has to make adjustments to the assessment. After the tentative roll, the Board of Assessment Review can make changes, but the assessor can't. So the tentative roll is the final data for that assessment year, and they refused to give me the comparable sales report for that data. So then I went to before the Board of Assessment Review, and they denied me. And I'm going to suggest that it was a completely unfair hearing. It was basically a pointless hearing. They basically pretty much deny anybody unless it is some sort of political benefit to them. Shouldn't happen that way. So then we had to file in the Small Claims Assessment Review, and we had an interesting case with the Small Claims Assessment Review. And but the very day of the hearing, I received this letter from the mayor of the city of Syracuse, and it was signed by Ben Walsh. Dear Mr. Franklin, this letter is in response to your appeal of the above referenced FOIL request. You appealed the city of Syracuse's May 12, 2023 response indicating it was unable to locate records of comparable sales reports or cost report data relative to 7 Bradley Road. On May 26, 2023, the Office of the Corporation Counsel confirmed with the Department of Assessment that no records of comparable sales reports or cost report data exist relative to 7 Bradley Road. Because no records exist relating to this request, your appeal is denied. And so I think what they're disingenuously suggesting is that those reports don't exist because they hadn't been run yet. Well, they need to run the reports. And but anyway, I got this letter saying that no such report, no records exist relating to this request. Your appeal is denied. So at the Small Claims Assessment Review hearing, the assistant assessor showed up with this. This is a comparable sales report. County of Onondaga, City of Syracuse, from the State of New York real property system, which all the various municipalities use. And this is the report that I foiled, that the mayor, Ben Walsh, signed, does not exist. And yet it was in the hand of the assessor, and the assessor gave it to the hearing officer, and the hearing officer gave it to me. This is it's a violation of New York State FOIA. And then, of course, the mayor lied about it. Now, my guess is that he didn't lie. My guess is that he was misinformed. And actually, it's the assessor and the law department that lied, and they misled the mayor and caused the mayor to sign this thing. Now, I'd like to think that the mayor would not knowingly sign something like this, but that's what happened. So, and it was interesting in the hearing officer gave it to me. The assessor objected, and the hearing officer told him that you're supposed to bring a copy for the hearing officer and for the opposing party. And so he just gave it to me, which is interesting because obviously he didn't have it to look at. And I think that the reason that he gave it to me is because he had no interest in looking at it, because at this juncture, he'd already determined that the city of Syracuse had illegally selectively assessed the property. And that's what it is that he ruled in the end. And then I had an altercation with the assessor in the hallway where I told him, I said, in a Board of Assessment Review hearing, he indicated that I would never get his data. So I went in the hallway and I showed him, I got your data, and he became very upset. He threatened me with physical violence. It was kind of amusing. But anyway, that's what happened. Let me tell you what should have happened. When I contacted the city of Syracuse and I asked for that comparable sales report, they should have given it to me that day. In fact, this year I foiled the exact same report from Wayne County, town of Walcott. I submitted the FOIL request by 10 a.m. in the morning, and that very same day, I had the report that I had requested that the city of Syracuse says doesn't exist. And usually it takes a while to get these reports, but oftentimes they'll delay them, but I get them. But the city of Syracuse says they don't exist. So what should have happened is they should have given it to me that day, or soon thereafter, because it only takes a minute or two to run the report. It's just you get in the computer, you select the property, run the report. Simple as that. But they want to basically deny everybody. And so and they've done this to me on 5 properties this year, and it's illegal. So they should just give me the data. When I go to bar, the people at bar should act in good faith and make a good faith determination. They didn't do that. In SCAR, the assessor, we shouldn't have never ever gotten to SCAR. It was totally unnecessary. But the assessor should have behaved in a courteous fashion. He shouldn't have lied to the hearing officer about trying to cover up for his selective assessment. And he should have acted in good faith, but he didn't. And so what I expect from the assessor is to act in good faith. They don't have to agree with me, but they need to look into these things in good faith, and they need to give me the data when I request it. It's their job. But the city of Syracuse is a 64.5 equalization rate, and they haven't done a reval since 1997 because it's politically expedient to avoid these things, because it gets the taxpayers fired up and people can get voted out of office for such things. And so that's why the mayor has not insisted upon one revaluation, even though the taxpayers have paid them to do it. They've been paid to do a job. They have not done the job. And it's highly inappropriate. But there you have it. From top to bottom, this was handled inappropriately. The mayor filed a false report. The assessors behaved inappropriately, right from Matt Oja, the top assessor, right down to Ed Foll, the one who threatened me with physical violence in the hallway. They should just give me the data and talk to me first, see if I might have a point. If they agree, make an adjustment. If not, politely point me to my appeal options, and then act in faith during the appeal process. And they have done none of that. The city of Syracuse is the reason that the assessor selectively assessed this property and a multitude of others. He pins the purchase price on the recent sales, and then he didn't make any adjustments or made smaller adjustments to the rest of the properties, which is what the hearing officer determined. And the reason that they do that is because they need to try to bring their equalization up, because it gives the impression they're doing the job properly, which in fact they're not. And so that's why they do it. They're under pressure to get to 100%, and they're not anywhere near it. There's when they're not at 100%, it creates unequal situations all over the place. And as the hearing officer said in the hearing, he says it makes it much more difficult for him when they're not at 100%. Much simpler when they're at 100%. It's much simpler for everyone. But the politicians don't want to do it because they're afraid of the pushback from the taxpayers. And I can appreciate it, because the pushback from the taxpayers is some people just don't understand how the process works. And so a lot of the pushback is inaccurate. But still, it's his job. They're being paid to do the job. They already received the money to do the job. If you're a contractor and you get paid to do a job and you don't do it, you can go to jail. Well, that's what's going on here. They've already been paid to do the job. They haven't done it. They need to do it. And I'm not suggesting that I have any personal issues with the current administration. There's just issues to be fixed. I'm not saying that I have any real problems with Matt Oja the assessor. I think he's qualified. He's pretty new, and he's going to try to get the situation under control. But he was the one responsible for denying the FOIL request. And that is just plain wrong. And he should know better than that. And so he needs to get on top of it. It's okay if they make mistakes. It's okay if there are errors. But when a taxpayer contacts them, they need to look into it in good faith. It's their job. This is Mike Franklin, the property tax guy.